A massive recall alert from Ford tops our look at consumer news. The automaker is recalling 700,000 vehicles, including the best-selling F-Series pickup trucks. The problem, faulty backup cameras that can show distorted images or suddenly go dark. The recall covers most 2020 versions of Ford's F-Series trucks, as well as the 2020 Explorer, Mustang, Transit, Expedition, Escape, Ranger, and Edge. Dealers will replace the rear-view camera at no cost to owners. And if you've noticed yourself buying more dairy products at the grocery store, you're not alone. The latest research shows Americans are eating over 600 pounds of dairy per person each year, the highest rate in 6 decades. Tyler Jacob explains why this boom is good for dairy producers.
Those familiar with the small town of Westby know this.
We are the cottage cheese capital of Wisconsin.
The Westby Cooperative Creamery is the only cottage cheese manufacturer in the state.
So we typically produce 13 to 14 million pounds of cottage cheese a year, and we're on pace to make that same amount this year.
A big reason why? The pandemic.
We had a lot of restaurants closed down, and that drove people to the grocery store.
Emily Bielkowski, sales and marketing manager for the co-op, says demand at grocery stores is helping workers stay employed, and their co-op farmers sell off their products to the creamery.
So we did no dumping of milk.
But the pandemic isn't the only cause for more people eating more dairy.
It's been growing really literally since the 1960s.
The driving factor?
Primarily riding this horse from the dairy industry that's called cheese. So cheese consumption is well up, and cheese represents an awful lot of milk.
Despite dairy consumption going up, dairy farms in Wisconsin continue to decline. Last year, the state lost 818 dairy farms, the most ever in a year, according to the Farm Journal.
We don't want to see a demise of a dairy industry, and I don't think that we are seeing that.
UW-Madison Dairy Policy Analysis Director Mark Stevenson says more milk is being produced than ever, despite fewer dairy farms.
Farms have been growing larger. Our cows keep becoming genetically better, genetically superior over time.
Westby is showing their support for hard-working farmers.
Some of our teammates thought it would be really neat to turn this silo on Main Street in Westby into a giant cottage cheese container.
And it's only fitting dairy sales are strong this year.
Dairy is part of our upbringing.
In Westby, this is Tyler Jobe, News 8 Now.
Each American ate about 14 pounds of cheese back in 1975, and last year it was 38 pounds per person. And pending home sales jumped nearly 9% in August. The National Association of Retailers says its index of pending sales hit a record high amount last month. The numbers pointed to continued strong sales into October. Contract signings are now more than 24% of where they were at last year, after falling behind last year's pace earlier in the year because of the pandemic. Historically low interest rates are pushing buyers to the market, even as home prices rise due to lack of inventory. And a new study shows one common trait makes you more likely to die of a heart attack, and its effects 50% of the population. Healthier Me is up next.